Hey, what's happening, AJ?
What's up, man? Hey, guess what?
You don't want to know what's happening? Okay. We're just going to go guess right till we guess what?
Yeah, guess what?
What?
You just like a mosquito that won't die. Hate's not a strong enough word for you, Brian.
Wow. Wow. Out of context, it sounds really mean.
They'll get it. They'll get it later.
Yeah.
once they play Saints and Sinners.
AJ, if you could replace all the grass in the world with something else, what would it be and why?
Well, I can't say the thing I would actually replace it with on air.
Is it dildos?
It could be. It could be, but I think I could have said that on air.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. Pizza? Yeah, just pizza everywhere.
It seems like it would be fun for a day, and then it would just be rotting pizza everywhere. All right,
No,
dude.
because it regrows. It regrows into fresh pizza.
And
then
this is
you
pizza
eat
grass.
it, and then it regrows.
I
Yeah,
understand. It's pizza grass. Okay, I'm all caught up now. Yeah, Looper says weed. That sounds fucking pretty good.
No, that's not what I was thinking, but
All right, dude. It's Monday. It's time to start the show. Let's do it.
let's go.
This is PSVR GameScast Live, where we film live every single Monday, Wednesday, and 2 Hours Friday right here on PSVR Without Parole. We do it live for your viewing pleasure on YouTube, 6 p.m. Eastern, all the time. It's almost like we're never not doing it. We also do it on podcast services of your choice at your leisure, where we upload it and then you download it or do something. I don't know. It's been a long time since I listened to an MP3. My name is Brian Paul from this channel right here, PSVR Without Parole. And to my right, you're also right. It's AJ from The Underground. PSVR Underground.
What's up, man? How's it going?
I'm waiting for you to say, guess what? It's going well. How's it going with you?
Going really well, man. Got here with like 5 minutes to spare on an empty tank of gas and paid my water bill. I'm getting shit done over here, man.
Hell yeah.
Getting shit done, but I am ready. It is Monday, and I know that Mondays usually suck, but we are here, Brian, to ensure their Monday sucks. Just a little bit less.
I hope it does, man. I really hope it does, dude. I gotta say, it's been a busy day so far. I've got no real complaints. I woke up because I had to get to work on my official, edited Saints and Sinners review, which has been, boy, what a struggle, dude. It's a lot of hours that go into just playing that game, and then when you have 17 hours of gameplay footage to chop up and make a review from. That's not an easy task, and it just made me realize what a difficult generation this is going to be compared to some of the games from last gen. But it should be out later tonight, and I do have to say that I had the privilege of recording with Dustin from Last Stand Media today. So for anybody who is a fan of Last Stand Media, Colin's Last Stand, we got to have a full-on conversation about PSVR2. So look forward to that over there on Last Stand Media coming up. Obviously, the Patreon supporters get that shit first. But we had a good time, man. Dustin's a cool dude. I've only kind of just seen him in passing, caught him here and there on the podcast. But he's a cool dude, man. He's a big fan of VR, and we had a really good time talking today. So shout out to all the cross channel cats out there who keep pushing for me to go on their show. I really appreciate it.
Probably a lot more to talk about now than there was the last time you were on Last Stand Media.
Yeah, the last time I was on, it was more of a recap of the PSVR 1 generation than anything else. But yeah, it was definitely more exciting this time around. The last time it was all speculation. This time it was just some speculation.
Cool.
We got Joey VR in the chat with the $5 tip. Says, my brother drove up to my house from Gloucester to try out PSVR 2, then bought one for himself on the drive home. Do we know where Joey VR is from? Is that Gloucester, Massachusetts, or is that Gloucester, UK?
I've never heard of Gloucester, so But there's usually a similarly named town in every state. At least like 3 of them.
Yeah, that's awesome though, Joey. Joey's doing the legwork for Sony. It's good stuff.
Yeah, doing God's work,
Yeah.
Joey. Yeah, that's usually how it goes, man. That's how last gen. That's how I got all my friends to get VRs. Was they just tried it out, and then one of them had a PS4 Pro, and I tried my VR with their Pro, and then I ended up getting a Pro because I was like, I ain't going back.
It was like peanut butter and chocolate, man. It's like 2 great tastes that go great together. The Pro and the PSVR1 for anyone who wasn't following. This is the dumbest start to a podcast ever. Grizzly Bear King with the $10 tip says, I came here looking for the best Walking Dead Saints and Sinners Chapter 2 Retribution review, PSVR2 Gamescast Live, and that's exactly what I found. Good day, cats. Thank you so much, Grizzly Bear King. It's good to see you guys.
Hell yeah, man.
Oh, Joey
I'm
BR says he's in Massachusetts. Sorry,
nice.
I got really excited.
Yeah, I'm really, really excited about today's show because, yeah, there's a lot to talk about with Saints and Sinners 2. It comes out tomorrow, I think, and I don't know why I don't
if you
know
live
that.
in the future.
Yes, and I'm just really excited to do it. I did post a review on it. It's like you said, man. I mean, it literally has consumed. It was literally like all I did for the last like 4 or 5 days.
Yeah.
And nothing else. That's why I was late paying a water bill. That's why I have no gas in my car and all these things. But it was worth it, man. And there was, despite getting the review out, there's so much more that I feel like I want to talk about and discuss, which we are going to do here today. Plus, I'm excited to hear your thoughts because I've been completely in my own little Saints and Sinners bubble, just trying to play it and get through it.
Yeah, for real. I don't know what anybody else thinks of this game. I haven't checked out anybody's reviews, and it's strange, man. Like I don't know if I think every review I've ever done in my life, I've always finished it, published it, and then watched the comments roll in and thought, oh, there was that one other thing that I wanted to talk about.
Always something.
Always
something.
And this is the first review that I've been like, you know what? Fuck it. I don't care if this is like days after embargo lifted. I'm like, every time I think of those things, I just keep adding them to the review, which is why the review's not out yet. But yeah,
there's a lot to cover in this game, and because there's a lot of game in there, and there's a lot of things to talk about. It's at the very least a very interesting discussion piece.
Yeah. Oh, there's absolutely a lot to talk about, and we're going to talk about pretty much all of it. I think we got a long show ahead of us.
Minus spoilers.
Oh yeah, no spoilers. Yeah, we wouldn't do that. The game's not even fucking out yet. Like, that would be mean.
You can hardly spoil this game though. Let's be honest.
I mean, I think that's true. I do think that like, I think that Skydance had to show off more than they probably wanted to in order to get people to buy it, which is pretty much the case for like every movie trailer ever. But like, you know, I feel like that Axeman, I feel like that could have been a nice surprise and been like, oh, what is going on here? And instead they reveal him in the trailer. I think that would have been really cool if they just like didn't say anything about that. But I think you need something like that to sell the game, unfortunately.
Yeah. I think obviously there's like some locations, some surprises and stuff that is the only thing we want to avoid, but there's plenty that we can talk about without, spoiling anything.
For sure.
Nice.
For sure. Kill Artist won the Dreamweaver Gamecat with the $5 tip in the chat. Says, I got my prescription lenses in today just in time for Saints and Sinners 2. I'm very glad that you're going to be able to see this game crystal clear, but we'll get to that in just a minute. AJ, I forgot to bring up the run of show. Real quick housekeeping before we get into first topic of the show. Make sure that you join our Discord. Click the link in the description below. That's where these conversations happen 24/7. That's where I hang out 24/7 while I'm working, which probably makes the work go by a little bit slower, but like hanging out with you guys. Also, if you're not already subscribed to AJ's channel, make sure you do that. The link for that is in the description below as well. We've got some amazing co-hosts on this show, and make sure you subscribe to all of them. And of course, go check out AJ's review if you want to get 2 takes on Saints and Sinners Chapter 2.
Yeah,
because that's all there is. AJ, there's your take and there's my take and no one else.
I'll be honest with you, man. I won't name names, but I did peek around, and I was like, "Did they even play this?" Like, I don't know. Anyways, moving on.
Moving on.
Pobity's nerfed.
That's right. I forget what other. I don't think we had any other housekeeping. That's about it.
Brian,
AJ,
Brian, it is Monday.
Sure is.
And we would like to thank those who support us in another way that changed their name on YouTube or Le Google to something GameCat related, or something GameCat adjacent. And this week we have two new GameCats to welcome to the GameCat Dojo. I'm so confused. 3. It says 2,
okay,
but there's 3.
I added 1 after I sent you the first run of show. So in case anybody didn't know, the show is really scripted. I write all of AJ's words for him, and when I screw up, it looks like he screws up.
3 new GameCats to welcome to the GameCat Dojo. Anyways, starting with Unstable, the GameCat Sanity.
Ping. Dude, I feel like this is me. I'm like I feel like Unstable Sanity is me. I don't know who this person is, but I feel like we have a lot in common.
I feel like I've heard that name before, and I wonder if that's just a GameCat adjacent name to the one that I heard before. We've also got Serial Killer, the GameCat Dojo regular, not decaf.
Bing. Nice.
I love it.
The GameCat Dojo regular. Oh, right, this dojo. I was like, I don't remember Serial Killer playing all that much Zenith with us.
Yeah.
Not that dojo, this dojo.
We've got 2 GameCat Dojo GameCats.
Decaf is for suckers.
Yeah. Does anybody ever even drink decaf?
I mean, my parents do after like 7 or 6.
Don't
understand it. Yep.
I really just got to, because I drink coffee just for the caffeine, really am. I mean, I drink it every day. But it's like the caffeine is like what I need. Like, I'm not just like, I just love coffee without the caffeine.
Yeah. This is why I had a problem with vodka.
Finally, last but certainly not least, we've got 4D, the 4-dimensional GameCat.
Bing! It's my dude over there in voice chat hanging out. I feel like I wake up every morning to 4D's voice. It's a good voice too. Very, very soothing.
Oh yeah, 4D. I wasn't putting it together. Sometimes the YouTube names and the Discord and PSN names don't match, and someone be like, "What's up, AJ?" And I'll be like, "What's up? What's your YouTube name?
Right.
What's your PSN? How do I identify yourself?
Yeah,
identify yourself somehow."
Oh, it's crazy when people have like different identities, like everywhere, like Yuki. Like Yuki's got like 17 names, and I'm just like, I think I know 7 of them. The other 10 are a mystery. Guys, if you change your name to GameCat because you love us almost as much as we love you, make sure you change your name and then put hashtag GameCat somewhere in the comments of any of our videos, and we'll make sure that we give you a shout out on next week's show. That's how that works. AJ, what's the first topic of today's show?
The first topic, Brian, is of course we've got some viewer mail in today, which you can leave us by going to our Discord down in the description. Join the best PSVR community on the internet and just one of the greatest communities overall. And go to the viewer takeover section, leave a hashtag viewer takeover question for us, and we might feature it on the show, which we are today. Starting with Brucey Two Sheds GameCat writes in and says, I am absolutely livid over the state of Switchback. Gameplay over graphics might have been acceptable for PSVR 1, but is it really acceptable for PSVR 2? I believe we should expect more from game devs. Hashtag refund.
Yeah. I mean, that's... I listen, AJ, like you and I get to hang out every single Monday. I get to hear your thoughts on games that come out before Monday. This game did not come up before Monday. So before we really dive into Brucey Two Shed's question, what were your thoughts on Switchback?
Well, it's an interesting one, man. Obviously we were all super excited about it. And I'm a little torn on it. To be honest with you, I think the biggest thing about it is the disappointment surrounding it. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed the game, but I'm with Brucey here, and like I'm incredibly disappointed with some things about it. And it starts with, of course, the graphics and the resolution. It has a great art style. But then, when I had kind of played this game first, like I played the first half of it, and my overall thoughts is that the first half is like the first two and a half levels of the game I thought were really, really good. So like I was like, oh, graphics aside, like I'm still really excited about it. And then I played through the rest of it, and I was like, it's just not there. Like it just didn't go hit the highs that I was hoping it would hit. And as much as I tried to forgive the graphics, it was like the second half of the game was just a letdown. So I understand people's frustration around this game, because I think even if it's not the worst thing ever, it is pretty disappointing. And it's a combination of us having high expectations for it, as well as the game itself didn't really pan out. And I think Rush of Blood, even on PSVR1 hardware, is still the superior game.
Oh, I don't think there's any question about that. Well, I mean, there's no question between you and I and most of the cats about that Rush of Blood is definitely the superior game. However, in my comment section on the review, it is crazy divisive. I was so shocked to see that some people weren't disappointed with the graphics at all. Some people weren't disappointed with the resolution at all. Some people thought it was super scary. And I even got at least one, maybe two comments from people saying, your review sucks. This is way better than Rush of Blood. And so it was like, okay, well, cool. I mean, like, I didn't expect it to be that divisive. I expected people to be like, man, this is kind of blurry, but it's fun, right? Because that's where I was at. I was like, this isn't terribly scary. There were a couple of good moments. But overall, like, I mean, the reason most of my excitement came from the fact that it was a light gun horror rail shooter, like on an actual roller coaster. I was like, so it almost didn't matter how much they screwed it up. I was going to enjoy it to a certain degree anyway. Right.
Which it did.
But you did, yeah, right. It does suck that the back half of the game just doesn't even live up to the first half of the game, which is a little bit strange. In response to Brucey's comment, I saw Your Long Shadows in the chat say Switchback suffers from poor gameplay and sound design. Graphics ain't fixing that.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? I could live with just the graphics. Although, when you buy a PSVR2 game, you expect it to look better than a PSVR1 game. I was able to live with the graphics. It's the game design itself, and in the second half in particular, it just felt like they didn't have enough time and budget, to go into it. So I really like the first half of it, and I'll try it again when it gets updated. I saw the message about the bug that made it blurry.
Right.
But yeah, I really did like the first couple levels, and then that was, but the rest of it was just kind of like, eh.
Yeah, if anybody didn't see the message from Supermassive Games, it was a really strange way to put it. They've been, we've been listening, we've been hearing reports of people who are experiencing. Some people are experiencing blurry graphics, and they're chalking it up to a bug. The interesting thing about the statement, which is so funny, dude, I'm trying my absolute best to resize this thing so it fits on the screen. Why is this thing so big? It's gigantic, dude. This image is like the biggest image I've ever tried to put on a screen ever. It's almost there. Is this it? Will this work? There it is. Okay, here's the image from Supermassive Games. They say very clearly it was developed exclusively for PSVR2, right? Like as if it's a response to the people who said, "Hey, was this just a PSVR1 game that got ported? Like this game that sort of got forgotten about, was going to come out too late in the generation." No doubt in my mind that that's never what this game was going to be. That this was ever in development for PSVR1. But yeah, man, I can't. The weird part is that some people are not seeing the resolution problems, like according to my comments, right? the people in my comments, some of them are not seeing resolution or graphics problems. So is it possible that maybe it is a bug that's affecting so many people, but not everybody?
I have no idea. I mean, anything is possible, but I don't think that's the case.
You're like,
I
anything's
just don't
possible. It's just unlikely.
anything, yeah, anything is possible. I don't believe it for 1 second, though.
Right.
I just, yeah, you know, even the previewers who previewed it, that, you know, they got a lot of comments and they said, you know, we were just having a good time. Yeah, it was there, you know, even in the version they previewed. So I think, you know, you can still have a good time with it to some degree, and some people more than others.
Yeah, I definitely had a good time with it. And you know, if anyone out there thinking that 7 is a bad score, I disagree. I think 7 is a decent score, and
I think that's a slightly generous score.
also true. Yeah. Well, I guess the people I'm
Right.
referring to are the people who are like, oh, fuck this, it's a 7, I'm not buying it. Like, so they don't even have their own opinion on it, which is, you know, again, totally valid. Like, if you only want to buy games that are like, you know, up to a certain standard, then 100%, man. Like, vote with your wallet, do the thing that's right for you, play the games that you want to play. But yeah, so I don't consider 7 a bad score, and I do think you're right. I think I was kind of generous. If somebody gives it a 6, I wouldn't be surprised at all. Like that to me, is a 6, anything between a 6 and a 7 is kind of like right where my brain is at.
Yeah.
We got a couple tips here. Let's see. We got Jim Perona with the $5 tip says, pumped for Saints and Sinners 2. Still deciding if I should get both games, as I already have multiple playthroughs on Saints and Sinners 1 for PCVR. Does PSVR 2 Saints and Sinners 1 have haptics? I don't think you or I, correct me if I'm wrong, AJ, have played Saints and Sinners Chapter 1 on PSVR 2 yet, right?
We have not.
Okay.
You know, because a lot of people, they saw my review on Saints and Sinners 2 and they said, oh, I'm going to start from chapter 1. And some people were saying, I wish, you know, I'd love to hear about chapter 1. And it's like, yeah, I don't know. They've said that it's going to be enhanced, but we haven't played it yet. So we have no idea. I don't know. Does that concern you at all? Or
I mean, I reached out to Amy over there at Skydance and said, hey, what's going on with keys for the PSVR 2 version of Chapter 1? Because we've got a lot of questions we need to answer over here. Amy said that they're waiting for Sony to be able to send out keys, and also that they want the focus obviously to be on Saints and Sinners Chapter 2 Retribution. And so, you know, here's my thing, AJ. Like, this is going to become a lot more clear once we start talking about our impressions of Chapter 2 Retribution. But like, I don't expect Chapter 1 to look or play any differently than Retribution.
Yeah,
I expect those environments to look to look the same. I expect the controls to feel the same. I expect the weapons to feel the same. I expect this. I can't guarantee that, but that's what I'm expecting.
yeah, and that's what I'm hoping for too. Is like, you know, if all the stuff that they've upgraded with Saints and Sinners 2 gets applied to Saints and Sinners 1, that's going to be fantastic. For me personally, because of the Horde mode, I want to go back to the Trials and I want to play that with the upgraded stuff and see if they added anything to that as well. Even if they didn't add anything with it, I'd like to just play it with the upgraded visuals. And but it'd be cool if there were some extra surprises in there.
Yeah, I agree. Just to close out our Switchback conversation, man, Bear Pig Gamecat with the $2 tip says, I don't want a refund for Switchback. Just fix it. I'm kind of with you, man. I'm kind of with you. Yeah. $40 was expensive. They sent me a key, so I can't complain about the price. But I'm going to complain about the price on everyone else's behalf. It was not a bigger game than Rush of Blood. It was not a more polished game than Rush of Blood. It only came out 6 years later, and so inflation was the only thing that should cause it to go up in price. So like $24.99, $29.99. I don't know, man.
I'll tell you what, I did receive a review key for it, but I also paid for it because I'm just so glad it exists. Like, I wish it was better, but I am happy that it's a thing and that I can go back and revisit it and play it at some point.
Yeah.
And once it gets upgraded with the visuals, you know, who knows? Who knows how much that'll help? Especially the first half of the game for me.
Griffin VR with a $5 tip says, I hope everyone disappointed by Switchback checks out Zombieland. It's so much more fun. IMHO. So I'm sorry for having to cancel GAMESCAST on Friday. I won't go into the details because no one wants to hear that nonsense. But when we were still planning on doing it, Miles and I were going to say, "Fuck it, man! We can't talk about Saints and Sinners on Friday. We have to wait till Saturday for that. So let's talk about some other zombie game." And we were going to talk about Zombieland: Headshot Fever Reloaded. And I played it, man. Oh, this is the wrong trailer. This is probably a Quest trailer or something. But yeah, I played it, and like I'll tell you, if that game gets good and exciting and like there's some kind of like addictive gameplay loop in there, I haven't seen it yet. I had only jumped in for like a half an hour, and I wasn't feeling it, and I jumped out. And so I didn't feel as though I had the proper amount of time to even have first impressions with this, especially considering, you know, there are people I trust out there who have played it and love it and said, you know, like you just got to give it some time. It
does get better.
Yeah. Okay. So
I haven't spent a ton of time with it, but I got past that because when I first started playing it, I was like, it's kind of boring. But it's easing you into things, and then once it starts picking up, once it starts getting a little bit more difficult, they start introducing new enemy types and stuff. It gets a little bit better for sure.
Nice. AJ, our next viewer takeover question comes to us from Josh76. And to your delight, we'll do this instead of the next news story.
Yes.
Here it's hashtag viewer takeover. What's the next PSVR2 game that we should be really excited about? This is a tough question, man, because for me personally, like I'm going to be playing Pavlov all day Tuesday for review. Like, and so heads up if you guys want to get in there and play some Pavlov with me. I'm going to be playing all day Tuesday. We're going to definitely want a 10-player lobby filled all day. So make sure you join us over on Discord for that. And so it's even though it's already been out since launch, I'm so excited to get back into that game. And so that's like where my head's at right now. I'm not looking for new games that are on the horizon that aren't out yet. I'm looking at the games that are already out that I can't wait to actually have time to spend time with, because like, you know, Pavlov is fucking great and the Light Brigade is great. I just haven't had time to actually play those games. Like not enough, right? Not enough to like review them. And I can't wait to review them.
Man, there's a big three that I'm keeping my eyes on. Firewall Ultra. Somebody asked me yesterday or something. They said, what games do you think can rival? What games coming out next do you think can rival Resident Evil Village? You know, Gran Turismo or rival Saints and Sinners 2?
Yep.
And I said Firewall and Resident Evil 4 if it gets the full VR mode. But I forgot one thing, which I did go back and add later, and that's also Behemoth. My hope is for Behemoth to be, you know, as good as it potentially can be. And if so, you know, that's secretly, those are kind of like my big three, my big most anticipated upcoming games are Firewall Ultra, Resident Evil 4, hopefully gets the full VR mode, and then Behemoth. I'm definitely looking at those.
Love Mountain Man Gaming comes out of left field in the chat. He says Colony Wars PSVR2. Here's hoping. It's like, all right. I mean, if the next game that we're excited about doesn't have to be an announced PSVR2 game, then dude, I'm just going to be excited for BioShock for the next 10 years. When the hell is BioShock coming out, AJ?
I don't know. But Colony Wars is never happening. I tried. I talked to the old developers, and I was like, please make Colony Wars for VR, and they're like, no. They're like, dude, that was 30-something years ago. Let it go. I was like, no.
Never let it go. I'm gonna get after him for G Police.
Yeah, Jet Moto, baby.
Oh yeah, Jet Moto. All right, man. One more news story, then we'll get into some Saints and Sinners talk, and this comes to us from Amada, developers behind the Last Labyrinth VR. Last Labyrinth, not one of my favorite escape room games on PSVR1. Lucky us, it's coming to PSVR2. AJ, how excited are you for this?
Not.
You played this on PSVR1, right?
I did play this on PSVR1, and and I really didn't like it. It's definitely not my type of puzzle game. Oh, I found out I do like a certain type of puzzle game, and that's the one where you solve the puzzle with guns, which is like their other game that they released, Tale of Onagoro. Excuse me, which I played on PSVR1 as well. I liked Tale of Onagoro way more than I liked Last Labyrinth.
I did too, but I didn't even like Tale of Onagoro that much. I was like, this is about as average as they come. The fact they were just doing the bare minimum near the end of the PSVR2 or PSVR1 lifespan was like just better than any other game we were getting. And so I was like, oh, this is good. Something that I can run around. I can run around and shoot and solve puzzles. But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. Dude, Your Long Shadows has all the good opinions in the chat today. Says I'm real hyped for Journey to Foundation. I need me some story driven sci-fi. I am too, man. Like for whatever reason, that's the one that sticks out in my head as like the upcoming PSVR 2 game that I'm really excited for. I'm trying to think about games that are like coming sooner than that, right? Because like I think that's fall this year, and so we got some time on our hands before that gets there. Adam VR says Synapse hype. Hell yeah. Synapse looks...
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing when and if Project Wee Man comes as well.
Oh, yeah, that was a strange leak that still hasn't been addressed.
Yeah.
We got Elbert with the $2 tip in the chat. It says Ghost of Tabor hype.
Forgot about that one.
Yeah, well, you wouldn't forget about it, man, if you hung out in our voice chat because this is all Elbert talks about. He's been in the alpha for like the last week, and he's absolutely loving this game. And so we have to get Elbert on the show soon to talk about his experience with Ghost of Tabor or Tabor. I fucking don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about it, but I kind of feel like that, and I don't know. I'll have to learn more about it first, but I've been keeping an eye on it too. It seems like it could be really good.
Yeah. Looking good. All right, sirens on my end. You know what that means, AJ. It's time to get on to the main topic of the day, and that is Saints and Sinners, Chapter 2, Retribution. We've been waiting a long time for this, man. You and I actually played the opening hour or two or so on Quest when that first became available.
A lot more than that.
Oh, did you? You spent more time than that?
Yeah. Yeah, I played like 5 hours or more on Quest.
Oh God, I couldn't even bear to. It was horrendous. And I will say, it actually made me not super excited to play it. And I will say, man, first impressions right off the bat, this thing is beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah. It looks gorgeous.
Yeah.
It looks really, really good.
And in a way that I wasn't expecting. Here, I'm just going to bring up some footage from. This is just random footage. So if I die a lot, I just took like 20 minutes of footage and rendered it out. So if I die a lot, this is no surprises. It is strangely one of the best looking games on PSVR 2, and I say strangely because it's got this comic book art style, and it is absolutely the same comic book art style that you saw on PSVR 1, or if you played it on Quest or PC or whatever. But man, the resolution is just so high, and they added so much into this game. Like when you look down Bourbon Street and you see like mist billowing up off the street, or the sun, the way the sun shines over the buildings, and just the draw distance, like everything is super crystal clear. Like as you know,
even in the distance like that, right? We're not used to seeing that, where you can see way out in the distance and it's clear. And I think the other thing that helps is the HDR, like the OLED screen, the HDR. The game, when it's really dark and then there's some bright lights, like either lights or fire or something, sparks, it makes it just look so much better because of that.
Yeah. Yeah, coming off of games like Star Wars: Tales from the Galaxy's Edge and Horizon: Call of the Mountain, where they looked beautiful, but then like you get past a certain distance and it's like, oh, that's kind of blurry. Like, is that intentional? Is that a LOD thing? Is that a depth of field thing? Like, what's going on here? And then you see this and it's like, oh, this is just going to be clear as far as the eye can see, and it's like shocking. It was the very first thing I sent you a text about when I started this game up. So I was like, holy, I just did not expect this art style to be able to convey that feeling in me of like, wow, this is beautiful. But it really, really is.
Well, that's how, I mean, the first game looked great on PSVR 1 as well. It was kind of a similar deal. It's just, this is much stronger, much more powerful hardware, and so just looks that much better. But they, as far as I'm concerned, like, the first game looked amazing as well at the time, was just about perfect. And this is just even more enhanced.
Yeah, this is top of the line PC VR specs, but blown way past that. This is particle effects added to the air. There's birds flying around. There's reflections on the ground. You walk by a puddle, it looks like a puddle. I mean, like, it's all of these little things that add up, and it's just like, I've stopped so many times in this game just to look around and been like, God damn, like Saints and Sinners, like, of all the things I thought this game was going to be, fun, like bringing back some of the old mechanics. Like, these were the things I thought about, not, oh, it's going to be fucking beautiful and in my, top 3 favorite looking games on PSVR 2. But here we are, like, just blown away from the word go, man.
Yeah, the characters look a little bit more comic booky and stuff, but the world itself has always looked like, it comes off as more realistic looking, despite having this comic book art style, which is really nice.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. The comic book art style, I think, applies to, I don't know. Yeah, I guess when you kind of take it all in, see, like, there's like raindrops. Like, I'm like looking at the footage right now. There's like raindrops. Like, I like didn't even notice that while I was playing. It's just like these subtle little things. Yeah. When you take it all in together, all the effects combined, like, it just creates a beautiful picture.
It really, really does, especially in certain places.
Yeah.
There's a lot of moments.
But graphics are only a small part of any game, AJ. Give me your first impressions. What were you thinking when you started this thing up?
Well, I mean, the graphics definitely grab you right away. And I think anybody who's bought the game or plans on buying the game and is going to play it, you're going to be focused on that for a good while.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it really takes a lot of the attention at first. And then you just kick things off, and it kind of just throws you right into some epic stuff going down. And it starts off really fun and exciting. And, it felt good, man. It felt good. It was something new. It felt a little bit different. Or it looked a little bit different. You're in like this new setting a little bit, and you're just kind of running for your life right away, and it's kind of teaching you the mechanics. And
it was an interesting feeling getting back into Saints and Sinners after having not played probably the original for 2 years or something. I don't even know the last time I played Saints and Sinners Chapter 1 on PSVR 1 was. And so it was this interesting feeling of getting back in there and like getting back to your home base, which is the same. It's that school bus that you're all familiar with. And being like, okay, here we are talking about graphics again. But I was like, oh my God, it's my school bus. And I was like, oh, look how grimy it is. It was like, it was, clear. And I was like, okay, but there was also this feeling of like coming back home, because I'd spent so much time in Chapter 1 where it was just like, you go in and you spend day after day after day. You could just go, either going on actual missions or taking on your own missions and trying to, like find different resources. And I just spent so much time in there on PSVR 1 that it felt like I was coming home. And so like any of the changes were like, oh, what happened since I was gone? Right? It's like you walk up to your school bus and you're like, oh, my school bus. But then you walk through your school bus and the back of it's open. And you're like, oh shit, what's behind the school bus? Your bed is gone, right? And you walk behind the school bus, there's 2 more crafting tables, right? And so there's all sorts of new shit that you can craft. And then there's like these stairs that you walk down to into a tomb, and you've created a living space for yourself while, between the 2 games. And so now you have like an actual bedroom, and it's like, Is this super important? No, but it made me feel like not only am I coming home to a place that I really enjoyed being, strangely enough, but not strangely if you know who I am, but also like that a little time has passed, and oh, like let's get acquainted with the changes that have happened since I've been gone.
Yeah, everything that hit me at first. I mean, I like how like within 5-10 minutes of the game, it's like, okay, you're now free to explore as you please. And you know, uh going back to the thing was pretty cool. It was nice just coming back to everything, but seeing it under a new light, under with new graphics, looking in the background and seeing the tower like crystal clear and being like, like, it was definitely a great feeling. And then you kind of immediately start getting back into it was nice, like remembering definitely having a lot of great memories of and stuff to reminisce in. And then, I kind of just immediately started exploring, I went ahead and went back, revisited some old locations and stuff. And then I started getting into the story, following it. But there's a brand new story that this takes place. This obviously, like you said, takes place after the events of the first game. Almost immediately. A little bit has changed, but not a lot. And now, for those who are familiar with the first game, I want to try to. It's hard to talk about trying to avoid some spoilers. But basically, there is like a war going on right now, and you're kind of caught in the middle of it, and so you basically you meet up with some people, some new characters, and you start forming a kind of following the story along with to get involved in the war.
Yeah, it's also hard. It's also hard to not talk about because, God, I just don't care about the story in these games. Like,
yeah, I think that's really important to say here.
Yeah.
The weakest part of both games is obviously the story. Like, I don't play this game. I definitely don't play this game for the story, but that's one thing I can definitely say is like, if there's something that you don't really necessarily need to care about, is the story or the characters. That's not really what makes this game awesome.
No. It's so funny because like for the most part, like the story's fine, right? Like it's funny because I barely address it in my review that I'm working on. It should be up tonight. Barely address it, and the reason is because I can take it or leave it, right? I meet all of these characters, and I'm like, okay, what do you need, right? Like you're going to send me on a mission. You're going to ask me for something. But like, but as far as like the war is concerned, as far as like the tower is concerned, I don't care. And like old habits die hard, AJ. When I'm playing this game, they were like, "Oh, you should go do this," and I was like, "I'm gonna go do what I'm used to doing, right?" Because what I love to do in Saints and Sinners games isn't going to find each NPC and listening to what they have to say and seeing all the options in the dialogue tree. That shit's there. It's fine. There's new characters to talk to. But what I love doing, man, is exploring these environments and like finding, like searching every single corner. And it's like and what I do is the same thing every time. I run into a map. I fill up my backpack immediately and then go, shit, I have like a lot of wine bottles in my backpack. Like, and then you start saying, well, what don't I need? And like every time you find something that's way more valuable, every time that's something that there's stuff that you need specifically because there's something specific you need to craft. Well, then it's like, okay, what do I need to get rid of in my backpack? And then it's like, then I actually, once I have like a backpack full of good stuff that I'm really happy with, I have this weird feeling of regret. Like, I'm like, I don't want to leave this environment yet. I wish I had a bigger backpack. I wish I had 2 backpacks. And so so being able to get back into a world that I love and then immediately start doing the things that I love. Like, I was like, I don't care if nothing happens in this game. Like, this is where I was in the first hour. I was like, I don't care if nothing happens in this game. Here I am getting back to something that I love, doing the things that I love.
Yeah, the story is very much almost just kind of like a tool to keep you playing and keep moving you along, keep pushing you along forward. It is definitely, not something that you really get invested in. Although I will say, the kind of overarching story they're trying to tell isn't bad. It's just the moment to moment storytelling stuff is like, you just don't care. Like if there was one thing I'd really love them to do is to is to improve, like, make me care about what's going on, make me care about some of these characters I'm interacting with. But it just doesn't serve that purpose. But like you said, man, this game is all about the gameplay. And that's what makes the Saints and Sinners, series so good. It is heavily physics driven. It is, it just feels like they think of everything. Like they think of just about everything when you go, oh, can I do this? Yes, you can do this. Like, and they have some kind of reaction to it. Like, as something as simple as just like lighting a gas grill lighter or lighting a cigarette, or there's lots of little neat surprises and things that that you can do and interact with. It works really well as a game for you to like experiment with. If you just like really want a great story to just kind of, and like, to follow through, I think the people that are interested in really exploring the gameplay elements of the game and really, like almost like treating it almost like a sandbox game where you just experiment and explore. I think you're going to have the best experience with this.
Yeah. So AJ,
Yo,
how much do you love the chainsaw?
I can finally talk about the chainsaw. And he's not going to censor me. Well, he kind of still can, but
well, we don't want to spoil anything for sure, but I do think that one of the selling points obviously is what's going to make what makes this game different. Everything we've talked about so far for the most part has been exactly the same as Saints and Sinners Chapter 1. So we do need to talk about some of the things that differentiate this from Chapter 1.
And that's been all of my favorite stuff about Saints and Sinners Chapter 2 is all the new stuff. Some of the old stuff I enjoyed actually going back to. Like at first I was like, oh, I got to come back here. I've just spent so much time here. I don't want to go back. And then like the next thing I know is like, you know what? I'm going to go back there just one more time and get some more shit and make sure I do this and stuff. But yeah, man, that's been my absolute favorite part, is all of the new additions to the game, the new locations, the new weapons and items are really, really cool. And there's new modes too. Well, there's new missions basically. There's kind of like side missions called Exile missions now. And you get like, everything is kind of the same as before, where you have your journal to track all your stuff. And these new Exile missions, they kind of force you to go. At the end of the day, they're kind of like just fetch quests. I mean, they're just like find these items, come bring it back to the quest, to the chest. But it's kind of like the adventure that you go on getting those things, and you have is just where I found some of the most memorable experiences in playing this. It's not necessarily what I was trying to do. It was like what occurred while I was doing that.
Yep.
And that includes the addition of the new night modes, Brian. Let me ask you, dude. Did you find this game scary at all?
I don't know if scary is the right word. Okay, so anyone who didn't like the school in Saints and Sinners Chapter 1, I only have one word for you, and that's sorry, because welcome back, Kata. Like, you have got to go back to school. And man, it's like what happens in this game that makes it scary is you're like, I don't want to die and do the mission over again, and I only have 3 shells left for my shotgun, and I don't think I'm anywhere near where I need to be. Like, it's these kind of like, it's a story that the game isn't telling you. It reminds me so much of Song in the Smoke sometimes, right? Because the story that you remember from this isn't the one that like some girl that you met, some NPC is telling you, and then you're clicking buttons to get through a dialogue tree. That's not the story you remember from this. It's the moments like that where you're like, fuck, dude, I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to make it out of here alive. I don't think I have the wherewithal or even the means to do so. And so and I love that shit, man. And so Shades of Grey Matter says seems more tense than scary. And that's 100% where I was going with this. Like, the scares come from the situations you find yourself in, not so much like jump scares or anything like that.
Yeah, it's not jump scares. It's definitely the tension. The first game, a lot of people would talk about it. You know, whenever I described it to people, I was like, dude, anybody can play this game because it's not scary. It's super intense, but it's not scary.
But it was still too scary for some of the cats because I've seen the comments.
Yep. Well, let me tell you, man, this game made me absolutely shit myself a couple times because the night stuff is I found to be pretty goddamn scary. And it's like you said, you know, I was doing one of these exile missions. It was like, go find a cigarette pack and an ashtray. Mm-hmm. And like that turned into like one of the biggest adventures I had in this game because I had to go do it while wandering around at night. And one of my favorite new additions in this game is that they've increased the walker count, right? Like there's a shit ton more walkers at times. It's not just like always tons of walkers and you're overwhelmed.
Right. Very frequently it's like the same number that you would have seen in chapter 1. But yeah, definitely moments where you're just like, why are there so many fucking walkers around here?
I mean, yeah. And that part, dude, that stuff really sucked me in. And like, I got really immersed in those parts in horror, of course. Like I was terrified and I was wandering around. I was limited on like ammo. I was limited on health and I was just trying to finish this thing and you're wandering around in the dark and like I was just before you know it, like before I even knew it, there was just like 20 something walkers surrounding me while I was sitting up here. And let me tell you, man, this is going to sound crazy. Now, look, I'm not saying you're going to have this experience. I'm going to say that this is the experience that I had at times in this game. This game, in some ways, almost out Resident Evil by the situations I was in because of how intense the survival was. I was running around at night and it was dark. I was fucking terrified. I was like, you know, just fighting for my life. There was just more that kept coming and kept coming. And it was incredible.
Wait a minute. I know what you're doing right now. I know what you're doing. You're setting up for the next top 25 debate right now. You're like, Resident Evil Village ain't going to be number 1. It's going to be Saints and Sinners Chapter 2 Retribution. You're doing it already. This is ridiculous, and I can't have it.
I have no hidden intention. I am just telling you my experience. I was running around at night through a city and through different towns, and it was dark, and it was just an incredible experience, and it felt so much like Resident Evil in VR to me. It was crazy.
Yeah. Listen, so I was curious because I saw a lot of people in the chat. Some people were saying, like Super Galaxy Godstar says, I thought Chapter 1 was scary. And Elver is saying scary, maybe, suspenseful, yes. And so I put up a poll in the chat. So please let me know. We're definitely curious to know. So far, 64% of you said Saints and Sinners Chapter 1 is scary. So there you have it.
That's surprising. I didn't find Saints and Sinners 1 scary at all, except for the school part. And I guess that just shows you the effect of maybe just turning the brightness down or having night levels. That just shows you how much of a difference those can make. Because like you said, if you thought the school place was scary, well, a lot of the night levels are just the entire levels are like that, and it's fucking terrifying.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna. Hopefully, I'm not misrepresenting myself here. I did think that there were plenty of moments in Saints and Sinners 1 that were scary, but in the same way that I described with Saints and Sinners Chapter 2. Chapter 2, I feel like some of the missions are like way longer. And you and I were just talking about one specifically before the show started, where it's like you can't. For the most part, you can't just abandon a mission midway and like go back to the resting place. You have to like do the whole mission while you're out there in the field. And so like you've got to equip yourself before you head out. Like you got to really think about what you're going to do. Like if you've already failed a mission and you're like, all right, I'm just going to go back to the resting place and stock back up and maybe upgrade my benches a bit. You got to really think about the things that you need when you're going out there. You're like, am I trying to be silent? Am I trying to like just take everybody down? Am I just trying to like go in guns blazing? Like what is the strategy? And think about that when next time you head out. And so I definitely thought that some of the missions here made it more difficult than the first. Like and I would say like a significant notch more difficult for sure.
Yeah. There's some missions in particular that are a little bit more, definitely more difficult. But I think mileage will vary. But there, it does matter. It's like you said, though, this game is a true survival game at its core, which I love. And I think the survival and the increased horror now is why I've been really, really enjoying it. I wasn't expecting it to be as kind of like scary as it was, and then mix that with the survival. It's such a great match together for me. But yeah, preparation can go a long way. There was definitely a time where I just said, you know what, I will abandon my progress on this mission and come back like better prepared, and it paid off. It made it much less of a struggle, and so there is like a nice strategy that you can apply to get through it easier.
I never abandoned the mission. Every time I walked up to my skiff and I was like, I need to run home, and it's like going home will abandon this mission. You have to start over. And I was like, fuck you, Skydance, and then I ran back and did the mission. Like I never once abandoned it, and I should have many times. So hey, I was copying down some comments from the chat, because some people are asking some good questions. This is a comment. DJ Spacey says,
now is the time to get the questions in, guys.
Yeah. DJ Spacey says, the school is so dark in my headset, LOL. Now, I'm assuming he's talking about Saints and Sinners Chapter 1. I can totally see that. There was like a narrow circle that the flashlight illuminated in Saints and Sinners Chapter 1 in the school specifically. Everyone said it was really dark. I never had that much of a problem with the school on PSVR 1, but going through the school, I certainly didn't have any issue. And I don't think people will have an issue with Chapter 2. I think the better resolution and the graphical overhaul has kind of given the school kind of easier to navigate is my guess.
Yeah, it still has that kind of thing where if you go into a really dark place, sometimes it will put that circle around, like it's like intentionally makes it darker around your peripheral vision. It still does that. I don't think it really does that like while you're outside, though. I think it's more just like it's certain areas, but yeah, they do. I mean, with the PSVR 2, it's the contrast is so good. Like the blacks are just super black and everything. So yeah, it looks really nice. But again, there are ways around that. They give you a flashlight. They give you flares. They give you stuff to kind of work around that. But they intentionally made it a lot darker in some places.
DJ Spacey with the £1 says, thanks for the shout out. Thanks for the question. Thanks for watching. Stu Anon. That's actually really funny. Do I need to play Saints and Sinners Chapter 1? Maybe there's a story catch up or something I can watch instead. Stu Anon, this is a very, very good question. And I think this will play into the next part of our discussion about Saints and Sinners Chapter 2 Retribution. I would say you don't need to, but you should. Right? I think it would feel really, really weird to play Chapter 2 Retribution and then at some point maybe go back and play Chapter 1. I think Chapter 1 sets the stage perfectly for Chapter 2. It lets you learn all the mechanics. You can import your save from Chapter 1 to Chapter 2, which I wasn't able to do. Were you able to do that, AJ? Because I don't think that feature was enabled pre-launch.
No, it's in order to transfer your PS5 save. It doesn't transfer your PS4 save to the PS5 version.
Are you sure about that? Because I'm pretty sure you can transfer your Quest save over to PSVR.
What?
Yeah, yeah. You got to go in and like the game should update now. Somebody's gonna fucking correct me and tell me that I'm wrong. But from what I can tell, I think you have to go into Saints and Sinners Chapter 1, and then the game will have updated to allow for this feature. And then and then it gives you like a 4-digit code or a 5-digit code or something like that. And then you go into Saints and Sinners Chapter 2 on your preferred platform, and you just put in that code.
Well, all I know is that it does say in the main menu that it has the transfer save feature. But I was assuming that was just for the the PS5 version of Saints and Sinners Chapter 1, which I figured you could maybe transfer over from your PS4 version, maybe, but
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure.
It's not.
Pretty sure it's cross-platform. Don't hold me to that. I will double check with the devs before.
I think the Quest 2 version. I think I don't know if it was enabled at launch, but or not. But yeah, that'll be interesting. And that is a question that I've been very curious about. Is like, would you want to start from the very beginning? If you haven't played the game before, it seems like it would make more sense. But I don't know.
Yeah, I think again, story isn't why I play these games. I gave the first game 10 out of 10, and I was like, I don't fucking care what's going on out there. Like there were more factions, and I would walk up to somebody and be like, I don't know if this person's going to kill me or not because I don't know who the fuck they're fighting for, and I don't know which side I'm on. So like, let's just kill everybody. And that's kind of how I played this game too. And so as far as story goes, you don't really need to, but I would absolutely still like Saints and Sinners Chapter 1 was such a great game, and this is also a great game. We're gonna have to talk about the negatives here in a second. But
well, it's not about the story. It's still a fun kind of story to play through, even though it's not like an important story.
Right.
It's still it's like you said, it's important to kind of like introduce you to the basics, get used to the mechanics of the game. You're still a ton of fun shit that the first game has you do while you follow the story. And that's why you would want to play from there, not necessarily, but not anything because of like the story in itself that you would be missing out on, really.
Hey, Matthew Lee from Skydance is in the chat right now, and he does confirm you can transfer saves from Quest 1, Quest 2, PC, and PSVR 1 and PSVR 2.
That's crazy.
Well done.
I was not expecting that.
Yep.
Jeez.
Thank you, Matthew Lee. Really appreciate you chiming in, and I'm glad I saw that. So the other thing about it is, dude, this is the best value going on PSVR 2 right now. If you buy the bundle, if you haven't played Saints and Sinners Chapter 1, you can get both of these games for $60. It's like 30 to 40 hours of gameplay, like just right there. It's like there's a lot of game and a lot of great game.
That's like mainlining the story.
Yeah.
Like 30 to 40 hours if you mostly follow the main story. There's a lot more than that. I have like over 100 hours in the first game.
Nice. That is awesome. All right. Let's see. I think we covered that. Brandon McLean says, did they get rid of the stamina bar? So here's where I think we need to be very, very clear about what Saints and Sinners Chapter 2 really is. Because everything's the same. Like, most of the weapons are the same, or a lot of the weapons are the same. The stamina bar is the same. The health meter is the same. The way those two things work together are the same. The food's the same. The healing items are the same. There's more of everything, but it's still the same. The mechanics are the same. The way you craft is the same. And a good chunk of the locations you visit are the same, right? And so you do get to a point pretty quickly where you're like, is this just DLC that like they kind of repackaged as a full-fledged game? And I think that there's a connotation to that that's really negative, right? You know, it feels like we're saying, was Switchback developed for PSVR 1? but I don't. I also think that it's very clear what happened here, right? Like they wanted to make another game, and there was no way to create all new maps and all new weapons and all new characters and all new everything. And to its credit, there are all new characters and there is a whole new story going on here. Not that I cared that much, but the new maps are beautiful. And the back half of this game is quite different than the first half. That being said, it very much feels like this like standalone expansion. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, especially since they're charging $40 and like you're getting so much game. Does that sound accurate, AJ?
Yes and no. The thing is, it kind of is going to depend on how you play it, because you have the option to that where you can go back to some of the old levels. And if you choose to spend all your time spent in the levels that were in the first game, then yeah, it's gonna feel more like the first game. But the new levels, there's only 4 new locations, but there's a little bit bigger and there's a little bit more to do there than it seems on the surface. There, let's just say I thought they did some really clever things with the new locations to really, like, get the most out of them, to keep you there for a longer amount of time. And some of the old locations they've altered. I mean, the first time going back to, I won't like say what happens, but the first time going back to, I think, was it Via Corolla?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it is drastically different, and it was wild.
Yeah.
Like, it was crazy. And I don't even think I went to the other location that might have had like a similar thing going on, but yeah, it was drastically different. The night, going at nighttime also makes a big difference as well. You can have a pretty big, pretty drastically different experience traveling to somewhere at night as well. So I think they did just enough. They did just enough, if not a little bit more, to introduce new things to keep it fresh, right?
Yeah. I agree. I mean, I do think that this is going to be weird, because part of this makes sense and part of this doesn't. But since I played the original game on PSVR1, this is something I said like even leading up to launch before I'd played it. I played the original game on PSVR1 and I played the sequel on PSVR2. And the difference graphically is amazing, right? And that's what you always hope for in a sequel. You're like, oh, it's going to be bigger and better looking and this and that and whatever, right? And so so part of this huge upgrade was just the fact that I'm playing it on a new headset, and they put so much work into making it look beautiful. And so there's that, right? But eventually you do get over that. Like, after the first couple hours, you're like, you just get used to how amazing everything looks. And then that's what I think that's when it started setting in for me, going, okay, like I know these locations, and I know, and like I started exploring the same places, and it felt, I'm doing my absolute best to make sure that I tell people like that somehow I wasn't disappointed with that, right? Because I was so happy that I was like, I get to be back in this world again, and it looks stunning, and all the gameplay mechanics that were already there are there, and now they're better. And so for me, it's like, yeah, it feels like this huge piece of DLC or standalone DLC or expansion or whatever you would want to call it, but like done in a way that I was very, very happy with.
Yeah, I think I went back and forth on it a couple times. And when you talk about the graphics, like, it takes a long time to get over how much better it looks and everything. And like you said, a lot of it does have to do with the new hardware, and of course, with the new controllers and wandering around and having the haptics and everything, having the headset rumble now in some places. And it does make it nice. I did kind of go back and forth a couple times about like, I was like, I don't really want to go back to this place again. And then I left that place. It's a true story. And then I went to like Rampart. I went to Rampart, mm-hmm. and I was like, I would really rather be someplace new right now. And then I straight up finished the mission. And the first thing I wanted to do was fucking go back to Rampart again. I don't know why, but like, it kind of makes you go back and forth because of that a little bit. But ultimately, like you, I was like really satisfied with the just enough about enough amount of new stuff. And then it was fun to revisit some old places too.
Yeah, sure was. And it was also nice not to just stand in front of a radio.
Yes. Plus you know those locations well, and you know where to get like supplies from and stuff. So they're great for like going and you're like I need to go get some supplies real quick. Let me head back there real quick and hit that place up.
Let's take a couple of these tips. Also, by the way, the Gamecat in the chat says, AJ, over 100 hours? You must have collected a lot of spoons.
a lot of spoons.
That's funny.
And I a lot of spoons. Blew myself up with propane tanks a lot.
Ooh, I saw that happen. Andrew Bailey with the 2 quid says, is Chapter 1 on PSVR 2 the same quality as Chapter 2? We don't know. We said at the beginning of the show, Andrew, I know you probably weren't here from the very beginning. We haven't had a chance to play Chapter 1 on PSVR 2 yet. The assumption is that these places are going to look the same. My question is, they obviously have changed the lighting, and as you said, like a lot of the maps have been altered in certain ways, and so it'll be really, really interesting to go back with Saints and Sinners Chapter 1 on PSVR 2 and like really re-experience that first game, hopefully with the same quality of graphics that we've seen here in Chapter 2. It's gonna be pretty exciting to do that. If I felt like I was coming home in this game, it would definitely feel like I was coming home in that game. DJ Spacey with the 5 quid says, what's the date for the PSVR 1 release of Retribution? I cannot wait. Bring on the chainsaw. So there is no date. The last time, I feel like I check in with Skydance like once a month or something and say, are you sure you're still going to bring Retribution out on PSVR 1, right? Like, are you sure you're going to do that? Because as soon as you're not going to do that, let me know and I'll tell people that you're not doing that any longer. And they keep saying, yeah, we're going to do it. So unless Matthew Lee in the chat has something to add to this conversation, it's happening, but we don't have a release date yet. PSVR 2 was, obviously they focused on the Quest 2 to get that out first, and now they're focusing on PSVR 2 getting this version out. I think the PC version is coming out at the same time, and then obviously the PSVR 1 will probably happen after that. So unfortunately, we don't have a date though. How much did you love the chainsaw, AJ? Can we talk about the chainsaw more?
I fucking love the chainsaw. All right, so I talked about this in my review a little bit, but I was just excited about having the chainsaw for the haptics and adaptive triggers, right? Like I'm just like, oh, the chainsaw with the orbs. But man, they added a little bit more to it than I was expecting. And again, how I said earlier, when you really take your time and explore this game, tinker with the features and stuff, see what you can do, and just see how stuff reacts with it. I spent a lot of time doing that, and I came away really, really impressed with the chainsaw, and my relationship with the chainsaw evolved over time even. Yes, we have a relationship.
I feel like maybe we need to have a conversation after GamesCast is over.
No, but man, just there's a lot of cool things obviously you can do with it. What was your experience with the chainsaw? Like, how are you liking it?
So I will tell you, my experience with the chainsaw was awesome.
Okay.
But fatal. Because I was hoping the chainsaw to be like this OP thing, right? Where like you grind and grind and grind and grind and grind, and then you finally unlock that from the bench. And then be like, right? And man, was it fun. Like I love that like every walker gets cut wherever you cut, right? Like so there's like cool
the dynamic slicing.
Slicing. That's actually what they
call it. Let me tell you the first, like, so there's been like, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's good.
I gotta say, something that happened. This is where I was like, holy shit. So there was a couple things, but in particular with the dynamic slicing. So one big complaint about the original Saints and Sinners was like, we were so happy that you could decapitate stuff, you could chop off an arm, but that was basically it. Like everywhere else, you stab them, they just have like a red mark. With this new, they've upgraded the dismemberment and like the damage system. So like you can literally like tear off flesh, and this isn't just limited to the chainsaw. It's with like a lot of things where like their faces can be like mutilated, like their bodies can be mutilated in so many ways. But with the chainsaw, the thing that really blew my mind was that not only did I cut off a walker's leg, but he was on the ground and it was cut off at the angle that I cut it off. at. And I was like, okay, that's some next level shit right there.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just like, oh, this collision, this touches here, and then the leg is, it triggers the leg to just fall off. It's like, no, that shit was cut at the exact angle that I sliced it off at. And it was like, and I was just so impressed by that. Like, it blew my mind.
Yeah. Just finishing my thoughts on the chainsaw, it was not as OP as I was hoping.
Yes.
And you do need to fuel that sucker. But I stocked up on fuel, but man, I found myself in a very dire situation because I was just like, damn, you can't just it's not going to save you all the time. Like it's still going to take a second to slice through those fuckers. And yeah, no, I definitely ended up with a broken chainsaw and in restarting that level. So I use it, but I use it sparingly. It's sort of my backup. Like when I find myself in a tough situation, like where I'm like, wow, this is going to take way too many shotgun shells, or I don't have the room to back up enough to get a clear shot. It's like I just reach in my backpack and pull that thing out and go, and just try to clear a space for me to walk because that shit gets crazy fast.
Yeah, the chainsaw turned into it started as like it's fun to tinker with and stuff, but it's like you said, I'm really glad that it's not just like OP and whatever, but it will save your ass. Like to me, the chainsaw is like has become my last resort where if I'm getting swarmed, it's basically kind of the only chance I have at this point to get out of that situation. To prevent from getting just like surrounded and eaten. That's what I love about it is like how it turned into like, this useful thing or whatever. But then now it's like whenever I'm in trouble, it's like, I've got the chainsaw, and like that has saved my ass a few times now. And I just love how that changed.
We do have an update from Matthew Lee in the chat. Matthew Lee says, I still have a PS4 dev kit hooked up. So it seems like everybody waiting for a PSVR 1 version of Saints and Sinners Chapter 2 Retribution is in luck. So do not worry. According to Matthew Lee, we're going to quote you on that, Matthew Lee, if shit happens. You Got Cold Yogurt with the $10 tip says, because of Resident Evil 8 and PSVR 2, it has gotten me to live stream regularly. I've now done 50 live streams. I love VR.
Oh, I think that's more live streams than I've done.
I just need to go watch You Got Cold Yogurt streams so I can hear You Got Cold Yogurt's voice.
Yes.
Although
I think I have heard it. I was
going to say, like, maybe he's probably in one of the meetups or something, and now I'm going to, like, eat my words here and be like, oh, fuck, we probably talked. I'm so dumb. AJ.
Brian.
Should people buy Saints and Sinners Chapter 2 Retribution?
I think so.
I think they should buy the bundle. I think they should buy both of them. If they haven't bought the first one, they haven't played the first one, they should buy the bundle and play through them. Take your time. These games are meant to be not rushed through. They're meant to be enjoyed. And I think the slower you play them and the more days you waste scavenging and building up those crafting tables, I think the more you will enjoy these games. And I fucking love it, man. I absolutely love it. I was definitely concerned that it wasn't going to be enough new content, but like I said, I'm super, super happy with everything that Skydance delivered. Can I get a spoiler on your review score by any chance, AJ?
I gave it a 9.2.
Oh, I gave it a 9.3. Oh shit, my review's not out.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, and like we said, man, it's that's really high. That's really good.
Yeah.
Now,
like, dude, it would. I could have given this game a 10, right? But and I think really the only reason I didn't. Okay, so I do have a minor quibble. Okay.
Yeah, I've definitely got some complaints about it. It's definitely not a perfect game. I thought Saints and Sinners 1 was perfect.
Yeah.
I think this game tries to be a little bit more ambitious, and because of it, there's a couple issues that pop out of that. And so unfortunately that, it prevents it from being perfect, but it's still like amazing. But go ahead.
I'm trying to think about how to respond to that. because because it really, I mean, it's built on the back of a perfect game, and so if it's like there's
Yeah.
more to do, shouldn't that be more perfect? And it's like, almost. If it was a brand new game that felt exactly this way and looked exactly this way, and there was and nothing was recycled, I'd be like, yeah, 10 out of 10 all over again. Here's the thing, because again, the story elements in the first game I didn't care about, and I still give it a 10 out of 10 because it's like it's there if you like it, but you can kind of ignore it if you don't care about it. So perfect, it's the best of both worlds. Same thing here, but so besides the story stuff, I will say that I haven't. This is something I really need to talk to you about, and I kind of wish we talked about it before the show.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just been a long time since I'd played Chapter 1. But like there were moments where I like threw stuff in my backpack and it just fell on the ground. And like my backpack wasn't full. There was no reason for that. I was like, well, that's weird. So I would go back and pick it up and put it in the bag and everything was fine. And then every so often I'd like reach for my pistol by my side and I'd pick something up off the ground. And I'd be like, well, that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to grab my holstered weapon. And then there were moments where I went to grab the notebook on my chest and I would grab the flashlight. Right. And so and then even a couple times where I went to grab something off my chest and I pulled the backpack through my chest. And I was like, oh, wait, no, Jesus. Right? I'm like, and so it's
the only example for me there is going to grab the ladder and then like accidentally grabbing like a weapon or something while trying to climb a ladder.
See, but it's one of those things that like I struggled with. And there were some very tense moments in this game where like I went to grab, my shotgun. And I was grabbing everything but. And I was like, I don't remember this being an issue on Saints and Sinners Chapter 1. And so then I started looking around and seeing like what's causing this. And I don't know if this is the case, or if this is the reason this is happening, but it seems like all of the items on your chest and by your sides are linked to the headset, right? So if I do this, like if I'm looking around the corner, all the stuff slides with my head as I'm looking around the corner. So they're no longer placed properly on my body. And so I don't know if that's the only reason it's happening. But I did eventually, over the course of many hours of playing, it happened less and less and less frequently. So I'm a little surprised that it hasn't happened to you more than, like you said, when you stand on a ladder.
Yeah, it happens a little bit where it definitely doesn't feel like sometimes I would grab something by accident. It happens definitely the most while climbing a ladder. Sometimes I would go to put something back and I feel like sometimes I would have to reach like extra far to like really make sure it secures there. But I don't know if that was a big enough thing to mention for me. There's definitely some imperfections, some issues here and there. But it's just, I don't know, compared to what they do, what they accomplish, some of the experiences I had. I mean, like I said, I had some straight up like Resident Evil, like they almost out Resident Evil in some key areas. And that was very, very impressive.
I don't trust you, man. I just feel like you're setting up for that top 25 debate.
Dude, go wander around. I gave Resident Evil Village a 9.3. I gave this a 9.2. At times I was like, man, I want to rate this game higher. Like I want to rate this a 9.5. I think the only reason I didn't was because it reuses some of the old stuff. It's not like a fully, it is a sequel to me personally. I feel like it is a full sequel pretty much. It does reuse. It does have some parts of it where a lot of it even where it reuses some old stuff. And I think that's where I was like, I just want like all new stuff. But that being said, it gave me so many things that I asked for. I kept asking for brass knuckles. What do? They put gloves in here.
The gloves are cool.
The gloves are so fucking cool. And I boxed the shit out of zombies. They're also super useful. If you can learn to like you have to kind of train yourself that you have these weapons and tools now. And if you use them, they're super, super effective. I wanted some new areas, like new locations, make it scarier. It did with the nighttime levels. There's a city. The city looks really, really cool. And dude, so I have some big problems with the AI and the NPCs in this game. I think I do have some problems with over them.
Wait, tell me about those, because I didn't have any problems with the NPCs.
You didn't have any problems with the NPCs? Well, I think something that bothers me is there will be the same NPC like next to each other sometimes. Like you'll have two of the same NPC zombie or something, and they look identical.
Okay.
And it just breaks the immersion for me. When there's like they're clearly just like two of the same ones.
Sure.
I don't like
that.
that.
It's not because they're walkers or zombies or anything. It's because they look similar.
No,
Okay.
No, it's like they're the exact identical one. But you know, some of that sometimes they don't react some of the ways that they should. Mostly it was fine. Even really impressive at times. That's the thing. It's so it kind of like seesaws a lot because and sometimes it's like that when the AI does exactly what it's meant to do and stuff, it's like amazing. And then sometimes they sit there and they just go, "You're like a mosquito that won't die," like 1,000 times. And I'm like, "Oh, please shut up." Like, I really hate their, most of their dialogue and stuff, is god awful at times.
You just got to kill him before he has a chance to talk, man. Like apparently I'm doing, because like I definitely have heard all those lines of dialogue that you had called out earlier, but only like once.
Man, I don't know. Sometimes it works great. Sometimes it's like, I don't know. Sometimes it's just they're saying the same thing over and over. And but yeah, I will say what I was actually trying to say. Something that I really liked was like in the city level, I was sitting up in a safe spot, and there was lots of zombies, lots of walkers everywhere, and it was just tense. Like it was really tense. I love that the zombies feel way more of a threat this time around, because there's so many more of them. I mean, that's what makes zombies dangerous, is just getting swarmed, and it feels like at times, like I said, there's like huge swarms of them you got to watch out for. And I was watching the NPCs kind of just, patrol or whatever, some of the tower patrol from the city from a safe spot. And like, I just see just slowly they start getting overwhelmed by more and more walkers. And it was just like watching this event play out in front of me was just epic. And then like watching all of them get killed, was just really cool to watch, man. And then of course they turned into zombies too, and then started walking around, and I was just like, well, that was fucking cool.
Everyone's pointing out in the chat that the two identical NPCs you saw could have been twins. Adam VR says could be twins. Kevin Rest says identical twins. And then Steve IRE says triplets exist too. Bob Zarkov says breaking news: AJ hates twins.
No, actually, Julia said that to me last night. She's like, there could be twins. I was like, yeah, but not everybody's a twin. not everybody has a twin, or do they? I don't know. Maybe.
Anything is
I will
possible.
say too, I did get a good look. I was at like a window, and I did get a look up close at the zombies. And there was like one in particular, and man, usually the gameplay goes by so fast that you don't get to really stop and look at them closely, but getting a really good look at one of them, man, it looked so impressive up close when I got a good look through a window, and it was like right there. I was very impressed. But yeah, man, super impressed with this game. There are some bugs. Did you have any crashes?
Not a single one,
dude. I had like kind of a couple crashes when I first started, and then the rest of the game I didn't have any, so I don't know what happened there. But
interesting.
Yeah.
Matthew Longo says that's why The Last of Us infected are better. They're so much more dangerous than zombies. Yeah, except I'm immune. You should see what happened to my mom when she was giving birth to me. Like, it's crazy shit, dude. I'm immune. Okay, man. Well, listen, we gotta wrap this up. Obviously, fantastic game. I think going into it knowing exactly how much of a new game is here, which is again a very good percentage. You're gonna be seeing a lot of old stuff. But I think this is a great solution, AJ, and I feel like maybe more developers should be looking into this solution to the $70 game, right? Or like we've just kind of accepted like, oh, these next big games are going to be $70 games, and that's just like how it's going to be, and it's going to be 6 years of development time. Well, like I would prefer to see games a little bit more frequently that maybe reuse some of the old assets and then give us a bunch of new stuff to do, and then not charge us an arm and a leg for it. Like I do feel like this is sort of experimenting with that established pricing model, and I think I'd like to see a few more studios experiment with this.
Both games for $60 is an absolute steal. That is such a great deal. I mean, like you said, that's at least like 30 hours of game, and then there's more to do. I really hope the Horde mode is still in the first game, and I hope they bring the Horde mode to the second game too, and bring some more DLC for it. But does this make you excited about Behemoth at all?
I mean, suddenly realizing that it's going to be a fucking pretty ass game. Like those trailers were like, oh my God, look how fucking crazy this, I mean, obviously it was not gameplay footage. It was, CG footage or CGI. But man, it's like, I feel like if Behemoth looks this good, on PSVR2, then yeah, I mean, not that graphics are everything, obviously, but Skydance is fucking awesome as far as in the gameplay department. So yeah, man,
this version is so different from the Quest 2 version.
My God, dude,
it's like it's a different fucking game, man.
Yeah,
like I was like, how is this even the same game? I mean, props to them for getting it to work on the Quest 2, but it was rough. Like it was not very good. Visually or performance wise or anything. And obviously that's because they had to sacrifice so much. But it's nice kind of knowing that, because the Behemoth is going to be on the Quest 2 as well. It's nice knowing that just because it's on the Quest 2, it's not your typical like direct port kind of deal here. Like this seems like an entirely different game altogether.
Yeah, agreed. I was very, very happy with what we saw or what we played. So fingers crossed for Behemoth. We'll see what happens. Also good to see them kind of like making bigger and bigger games, right? It's like Archangel was obviously a certain size game, rail shooter, but obviously great gameplay mechanics. And then Saints and Sinners Chapter 1, Chapter 2, very curious to see if Behemoth ups the ante even further. But I guess we'll see. A couple more questions, and then we're going to have to move on to 20 questions. Ooh, this is going to be like 23 questions. Mark Pringlesley for the 2 Quid says, will you both play through it again?
Oh, I'm not even done playing it yet.
Oh.
Like, there's so much more to do and explore.
Yeah.
I've only played through pretty much the main story and done some of the Exile quests. I have a ton more stuff to unlock on the 2 new crafting tables, and yeah, I do love that stuff too. Like some of the new guns. I love the little laser pointer. Like I said, the Louisiana Kiss gloves. I've got a lot to do still with this game, and I haven't, so I'm not even done with it once yet.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say that. I mean, I'm right there with you. I finished the game. I've not done all the extra side stuff. Will I play through it again? I mean, I played through it to review it. I would absolutely love. I think my plan will be at some point to stream Saints and Sinners Chapter 1 on PSVR2, and then gradually make my way into Saints and Sinners Chapter 2 after that, and like kind of start fresh, or maybe carry over my save. So yeah, I'll definitely be playing through it again. The great thing is that we're here. This is the very beginning of the PSVR2 generation, right? Like it took us years. Like we got Resident Evil 7 almost right off the bat, like 3 months after launch. Dude, it's only been a month since launch. And not only do we have, amazing games, like so many amazing games, but also like here we go. It's like we got Saints and Sinners Chapter 2, like, within a month of launch, which is crazy, and so here we are with all these games that I want to play and replay. And like, we're just getting started, which is just nuts. Just nuts. DJ Spacey with the 5 Quid says PSVR 1 release is a go. Yes. Woohoo. Here we go. I'm away to play Saints and Sinners. All this Walking Dead talk gets me bloodthirsty.
It makes me so happy that people that haven't upgraded to PSVR 2 yet can still play it. Like that makes me very, very happy.
Yeah. I mean, dude, if there's a Quest 2 version, like,
how
can there not be a PSVR 1 version? right?
Well, I hope it runs better than the Quest 2
And
version.
I also hope people buy it because I don't think people bought Moss Book 2. I don't think that was a thing. So, and then the final tip before we move on to 20 questions: Year Long Shadows with the 50 Nokia cell phones. Are we doing a top 25 in December or for the 1 year anniversary? I don't. I guess I'm in debate, right?
Yeah, we need more time to play these games.
Well,
Like I'm playing.
that's why Your Long Shadows asked if if it'll be in December
Oh.
or the 1 year anniversary. I would say the first one will probably come in just a couple months, right? Give us some time to play all the launch games and whatever comes out after that, and then dude, we could already do a top 25 list with all the games out there, and I think it's a solid number of games that are easy to recommend out there right now.
We could even make it interesting, narrow it down to like a 10 or 15.
Lame.
I think there's more than 10, maybe 15.
Or top 20, I guess. We did top 20s for a long time, but yeah, I guess we just do 25. All right. Hopefully we reviewed the crap out of Saints and Sinners Chapter 2 for everybody here. Like I said, AJ's review is up on his channel already, so make sure you go and subscribe to him and watch his review. Mine will be up later tonight on the channel, and so stay tuned for that. It's time for PSVR 20 questions. If you guys don't know how this works, I've got a game in my head right up here. And it's a PSVR 1, maybe a PSVR 2 game. I don't know, man. It could be either or. And AJ has 20 yes or no questions with all of your help in only 6 minutes to figure out what PSVR 1 or PSVR 2 game it is. AJ, are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's do this. Wait. Well, okay. You want to get that donation first?
Yep. Let me just go over here to the chat that's really backed up. Stupid Donkey with the $10 tip says, how does VR grow in this post-COVID world? Can we get VR headsets on display in stores?
I hope so, because that's what's going to sell VR.
Yeah, it does kind of suck. But you know what? Like things are getting back to normal, like extremely quickly. There could easily be somebody wiping the thing down, like who's in charge of that. That's something that should have been happening with PSVR 1 anyway, right? Like if it was on a kiosk or something, there should be somebody stationed there to get some sanitary wipes and make sure that it's all clean before the next person puts it on their face. Like COVID, no COVID, clean that shit, right?
They leave like wet wipes and stuff out there. I go to the arcade from time to time, like pretty much once every 6 months I go to the arcade, and yeah, the VR gets played, man. It's surprising. Like it gets played more than a lot of the other stuff out there, a lot of the other games. So it's really, really encouraging to see people playing Beat Saber, Star Wars, some other things, and yeah. But yeah, demo kiosks would be nice too.
Demo kiosks would be great. Agreed. All right, man. Well, let's do this thing. Are you ready?
Let's do this.
On your mark, get Des, go.
Has this game been announced for PSVR 2?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, nice. Is this game currently available on PSVR 2?
Yes.
So it's a PSVR 2 game. Does it have dinosaurs, zombies, robots, cowboys, ninjas, ghosts, dragons, or monsters in the game?
God, I think I got that full list. No.
Wow, none of those.
Dinosaurs, zombies, robots, cowboys, ninjas, ghosts, dragons, or monsters. No.
Thank you, Scott Jessico, for helping us narrow it down. Does this game support anything other than the orbs?
Yes.
Is it a racing game?
No. That's 5.
It's 5. Is it a rhythm game?
No.
Ooh. What other games use the DualSense or something else? Well, it would have to be DualSense, right? Let's see here. He said it's not a racing game. Oh, Awesome Asteroid? Res supports the. Wait, maybe that's. Okay. You guys got this. Well, it's not a rhythm game. Is it a game in space?
Yes, it is.
Is it made by Strange Game Studios?
It is made by Strange Game Studios.
Is this game awesome asteroids?
Well, it's certainly not regular asteroids, AJ. It is absolutely awesome asteroids. Came out February 22nd, 2023 by Strange Game Studios. Supports the HOTUS as well as the DualSense controller. DualSense, okay, as Michelle would say.
Have you played it? Is it any good? I haven't played it yet.
Really?
Dude, I still have probably 6 games I haven't played yet.
What are your thoughts on easy platinums, AJ?
Ooh, I kind of like easy platinums.
I kind of like easy platinums too. Also, you unlock these heat-seeking eye-tracked missiles after like the second or third stage or something like that. Very cool. Very cool. It is, this is a budget $8 game. This is a fun little game just to kind of grab and play. It should only take you a few hours to get through. I
do love eye tracking as well, like eye tracking gameplay.
Yeah,
I'm really liking that so far.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun, and now that and Reggie's patched it, and so most people weren't seeing the frame rate issues that I was seeing. So again, I found out very quickly that I'm susceptible to frame rates where other people are not. And it runs super silky smooth now, and so it's a good time. It's a good time.
Cool.
Also, if you don't have PSVR2, you guys, Reggie's going into cert for PSVR1 on PlayStation 4, so you can pick up Awesome Asteroids eventually on PSVR1. Keep an eye out for that. What are you doing tonight, AJ? Anything good?
Dude, I am going to go put gas in my car.
You can do all the things that you've raced home and couldn't
so that I can drive to work tomorrow. I am 100%. I'm going to hang out with Julie for a little bit, and then 100% jumping right back in to Saints and Sinners 2.
Nice.
Because I am hooked on this game. Yeah. Like super hooked.
Yeah, I am too. I'm absolutely loving this game. I hope, God, we talked about so much stuff today, and a few of the points I was like, oh man, do I need to add that to my review? And I'm like, but I'm like, just I've done this review in the strangest way possible, and I just keep adding and adding and adding to it. It's going to be one of the longest reviews I've ever put out, and I don't want that to be a thing. Although, please leave me a comment and let me know if you like how in depth I go with this one. I don't know, man. Like it's just a lot. It's like a lot. You know what I mean? A lot. I don't think reviews need to be 10 minutes long. However, let me know what you think of it. Also, don't forget to subscribe to AJ's channel. Also, thank you everybody out there. Everybody who changed their name to Gamecat. You're awesome, and you love us almost as much as we love you. Thank you everybody out there who helped AJ with 20 questions, who supports us on patreon.com/withoutparolgames, who hung out during the chat, who tipped during the chat, and of course, all of you who sit back, watch the show, and don't say a goddamn word. We know you're out there, and we love you just as much. Oh shit, it's Monday. AJ, can I cue the cat?
Cue the motherfucking cat, Brian, because I want to say see you guys on West Day, and happy Saints and Sinners launch night to everybody who pre-ordered it. Hope you guys enjoy a bunch. To Flame Hat, the Game Cat says fire, fire, fire. Diego Darko VR, what is up, dude? Excuse me.
Wow.
I couldn't. I missed them. I missed the mute button. Sorry. Looper the Underground Game Cat, Chris Fothenberry says, it's my birthday today. Happy fucking birthday, Chris Fothenberry. Wah, wah, wah.
Happy birthday, dude.
Adam VR, what up, man? Shapeshifter VR, the Animorph Game Cat, what up, man? Carson fist bump to you. Bit Jello Boy 30, that jiggly gamer cat. Looper the Game Cat, what up, man? Also, shout out to Aceville, who I saw earlier. I think he was the first person I saw say awesome asteroids. So nice. Shout out to you, Aceville. Nice. Professor Lilith in the house tonight. How did the multiplayer event go? I want to know. I wanted to join. It was Demio, man. I'm so pissed off that I really wanted to do that, but I had to get the review done. Mark Pringles Leaf Strange Game Studios in the house tonight. What up, man? My mind jibe. Oh, Strange Game Studios, by the way, is my other unbeaten, undefeatable Fortnite partner besides Kawa for the first and only time I ever played Fortnite.
Yeah, this is really embarrassing. You need to let this go. Everybody secretly makes fun of you about it behind your back because everybody wins the first 3 matches in Fortnite. That's how they get you hooked.
I mean, that's what everybody, you guys are just jealous because I'm undefeated and you're not. So I get it.
We're also really good at it and you're not.
This is true. Corey Massey, very, very true. Corey Massey, what's up, man? DJ Spacey, Scott Jessico, Peace in Herefeld, PSVR Gamecat for life, Bob Zarkoff, the Underground Gamecat, Elite Name Squad in the house, Secrets of. Guys, you have a wonderful night. Go replay yourself some Saints and Sinners.
Hell yeah.
And I hope you have a hell of a time with the chainsaw.
Hell yeah. And join us over on Discord, man. I'm going to need all the people I can. We're going to have to fill up a lobby tomorrow for Pavlov so I can learn that game inside out for review. And if you guys play with me, there's a good chance, obviously, that you'll end up in the review. So fucking awesome shit. Tomorrow, guys. Tomorrow, all day Tuesday, I'm going to be playing Pavlov. Love you guys. Good night. Meow.